elect Nixon.
Violent clashes.
Hi, I'm Andy Wilson, and I'm the executive producer at Hangar 13, which is 2K's newest studio up in Novato, California, and I'm working on Mafia 3. So, Mafia 3 is the story of Lincoln Clay, our protagonist. He's a disenfranchised Vietnam vet. He's also an orphan, and he's been searching for this sense of belonging and family his entire life. Lincoln ultimately ends up joining the army and going to Vietnam. And when he returns in 1968 to our reimagined version of New Orleans. And it's there that he falls in with the black mob, which is through a favor to a friend. And at that point, he finds this sense of family that he's been looking for so long. Unfortunately for Lincoln, the Italian mob actually betrays the black mob and wipes them out, and therefore kills off this family that he's managed to establish. And that's kind of the inciting incident for the game. And Lincoln then goes to war with the Italian mob and works his way through their infrastructure, their capos, their lieutenants, and all of their street thugs in our version of New Orleans, with the ultimate goal of being to reach and take out the mafia boss in the city, a guy called Sal Marcano. So we have a design pillar that underpins the entire game, and it's every player story is unique. And what that essentially means is we want every player to have a different experience. How this plays out in terms of Mafia 3 is that in terms of all of the different districts, the missions, the hideouts, the things that you do in the open world in the game, you can tackle them in pretty much any order that you want. So you can go wide and get experience of the whole city and start chipping away at the mob that way, or you can focus taking it down one district at a time and going kind of really, really deep and learning everything there is to learn about the characters in that particular district. It also extends to the way the narrative plays out, because as you move through the game, you're capturing territory, and you have to assign it to one of these 3 lieutenants who you've recruited in the game, these 3 other criminals who are helping you in your cause. But as you assign that territory to them, you're going to create friction. So it's an uneasy alliance as things stand, and as you assign the territory out, you're going to create this kind of tension between the different characters, and that causes the narrative to then play out in different ways. There'll be certain events that occur, and potentially, different endings as well. So when we say every player story is unique, it's not just the story in terms of the narrative, it's actually the way that you attack the game from beginning to end. So for this game, we've brought Vito Scaletta back. He is the protagonist, obviously, from Mafia 2, and in this game, he's one of the 3 lieutenants that you recruit to your cause. We're going to be going into some more detail about why Vito's ended up where he's ended up and why he's motivated to join Lincoln in this quest. But he plays a very, very key role in the narrative, and depending on what the player does, there can be different consequences for Lincoln, for Vito, and for all of this cast of characters. The time period in the city for Mafia 3 is something that we've thought very long and hard about, because the series is always very well known for choosing these locations and these time periods that really draw you in as a player and really have a very, very strong sense of time and place. So we've moved the time period on. It's now the late 60s, 1968 specifically, which was a very, very turbulent year in US history, and generally a very turbulent time period. A lot of the racial politics of the era, and also just from an organized crime perspective, lots of different gangs and factions who were moving in and trying to claim territory. So the setting was very, very interesting, and we decided that doing it in the Deep South in the 60s with a mixed race lead character would be a very, very interesting story to tell. And we're really not going to shy away from any of that stuff. So that then led us to, of the cities in the South that we consider to be iconic in the US, there's only really one choice for us, and that's New Orleans. It's an instantly recognizable place. It's an incredibly interesting place. Visually, it's very, very unique. It's one of those cities in the US that instantly stands out. So the decision was quite easy for us in that sense, and we feel that together with the narrative that we're building, it's going to deliver that Mafia feeling of the sense of time and place and being in the era. So Lincoln is a very powerful character. He's a Vietnam veteran. He's trained in all of the right ways for the kind of very brutal combat that we've got in the game. The takedown system in the game is actually very rich and dynamic. It operates on the assumption that you've got a certain type of weapon, but also that you're trying to take down a certain type of AI character and that they have a certain type of weapon. So those three different factors will distinguish what type of takedown happens. The hand-to-hand combat's also very brutal and physical and very representative of having, you know, this big, powerful character in the world. Also in the game, we have a very sophisticated physics system underpinning all of our vehicles. It's essentially building on what we had with Mafia 2. We've rebuilt the engine for new generation consoles and also for the new PC hardware that's available to us. And this physics engine really allows us to capture the feel of the great late 60s action movies, and Bullet is a particular reference for us. But when you pick the controller up and you feel how the vehicles handle, they're incredibly weighty, they're incredibly fun to drive. You can drive fast through the city, but it feels like a very sophisticated driving model. And I say that from a perspective of having made a load of racing games in the past as well. So we're very happy with where that's at. Combat extends to the vehicles as well, so you can even shoot out individual tires of cars that are chasing you in these systemic retaliation events that occur, and you can really kind of manhandle the car as much as you like. The car is really another weapon in your arsenal. So Mafia 3 is coming to Xbox One, PlayStation 4 and PC, and it's coming out in 2016.